Hey, welcome back to the CRP. I am Miguel Arani, and I am joined by Anthony Scott Pye. That means we are going to review boxing and boxing odds for this weekend. What are we looking at for this weekend? We're going to look at the big card, the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. You're going to get the ESPN Plus application showing the fights from Vegas, and obviously the main event heavyweight action with Tyson Fury. So we're going to look at the odds here. Tyson Fury taking on Otto Wallin. This fight, not really interesting at the books. He's a minus 4,000 favorite. Otto Wallin plus 2,000. It's about what we got for Tyson Fury last time out when he fought Tom Schwartz. He's not really taking on super huge challenges here. He's going to have to make a mistake for anything interesting to happen here. Basically, at least what the odds have. Now, how do you rate Otto Wallin? We saw him. He was on the undercard of Christina Hammer and Clarissa Shields, and that fight ended in a no contest. So, he's kind of had a stutter start to his career on the, American side of the ocean here. Tyson Fury in a holding pattern until he gets Deontay Wilder next year. That's how everybody sees it. How do you see it, ASP?
This is a situation where Otto Wallin is an athletic fella. He's got some punching power, 13 KOs at 20-0. He's a Swedish fighter. He's pretty impressive. As you mentioned, the Showtime fight was kind of a disappointment, honestly, because I wanted to see what he was made of. He fought this guy named Nick Kinzer. Fight was stopped early, I think in the first round. They had a headbutt. Kinzer got a cut on his right eye. And immediately said, now that round was long enough for Kinzer to know that he was outclassed. And so I'll give that respect to Otto Wallin. I think he wanted an out at that point. Yeah, he was bleeding, but he immediately, I can't continue the fight. No contest after one round. So we really didn't get to see Wallin in this sort of, big league showcase that we had hoped to see. But Wallin's left cross is very powerful and nice and straight. It's quick. It's powerful. So his left cross might be able to get in on Tyson. I don't think the plus 2,000 is necessarily justified. I think maybe he should be a plus 1,000. And I'm not suggesting people put money on him for that, which sounds weird because normally I hear that sort of thing and I'm like, it's a dog watch. Go for it. I'm not going to go that far. But I do respect Otto Wallin's game and wanted to see more of him. Go over and over to Tyson. I mean, the guy's great. He's a mental health hero. He brought himself back from the brink of destruction. He's the lineal champion. Those of you folks out there that don't understand what that is, he's the man who beat the man who beat the man, going back over 100 years. So he doesn't have the belt that Deontay Wilder or Andy Ruiz has. But he's the lineal champion, and some people think that's even more important. So as good as Wallin is, it's not good enough to bet against Fury, even at the plus 2,000. Fury by knockout, but I expect a good fight.
Well, hopefully we do get to see something out of Fury that's interesting and not just a warm-up or a tune-up here. In the couple of future fights that we're also going to look at the odds, and obviously you expect the odds to be much tighter. First, we'll go into super bantamweight action as we've got Emmanuel Navarre taking on Juan Miguel Elordi. A couple of battlers here at 28-1, but Navarre minus 27.75 favorite when we look at it. Elordi plus 13.50. Elordi, basically boxing royalty in the Philippines. His grandfather, the great Gabriel Flashy Elordi, a Hall of Famer, and he's continuing on the tradition there with the family. So, him coming over to the United States for this shot, he's got pressure and high expectations and, a high legacy to fulfill. But most people think Navarre may be too tall in order. How do you see this one?
I do too. And I have some respect for Elordi. Filipino, his only loss came in his first trip to the USA. Now, when I look at that, I think, well, he's only lost once, and it was his first time overseas, or at least to the United States. But he lost to a guy named Jerry Guevara. Guevara has only won 2 of his next 6 fights after Elorde. Now, he was undefeated going into that fight when he beat Elorde, but he's only won 2 of his last 6. There's been a draw. There's been some losses. There's only been 2 wins. So when you look at the quality of the person that beat him, it gives me some pause. Emmanuel, wow, fighting out of Mexico City when everyone was big on Isaac Dogbe. Navarrete beat him in December of last year and in May of this year. He beat him twice on the rematch, mandatory rematch on that one. So I actually think this should be a worse underdog than Wallin is against Fury. Again, Wallin's only a plus 2,000. Elorde's a plus 1,350. I was thinking maybe that you could swap those and I would be happier with them. As I mentioned, I think Wallin should be less of an underdog, probably at that plus 1,300. So you could swap them, and that's sort of how I feel about him if that gets to it. So I do expect a good fight. He comes from lineage. He's no slouch, 28-1. It's a great record. But I'm going to go with Navarrete by KO because of the way he handled Isaac Dogbe.
And heading to the third and final bout, we got a little bit of a Jose versus Jose violence as we got Jose Zepeda and his 30-2 record taking on Jose Pedraza. Pedraza 26-2. Pedraza a slight favorite. It's minus 165. Zepeda paying back at plus 135. Obviously the tightest line here, the most competitive fight in terms of we're not sure which way it's going to go. Pedraza, his 2 losses to Gervonta Davis and Vasil Lomachenko, so you can't hold that against him. And Zepeda's been in there with guys like Terry Flanagan and Jose Carlos Ramirez and stuff. So top-notch opposition on both sides. That's why the line's close. How do you see this one?
It's a pretty interesting fight, really. And of course, I got to say, if you can get a prop bet with a guy that's not paying attention, like my buddy Josh Winters or something, get an idiot like that and bet that Jose's going to win. And then you've won your bet already. Jose Zepeda versus Jose Pedraza. Look, his loss, he retired against Terry Flanagan, a majority decision against Jose Carlos Ramirez, and 2 no contests that would have been wins for him. So there's some interesting things about Zepeda. If you look at what he did against Valenzuela, the fight ended in a no contest because there was an accidental clash of heads. But against Terry Flanagan, he hurt his shoulder. So Zepeda hurts his shoulder in the second round and has to quit fighting. And so that gives Flanagan the win. Flanagan probably would not have won that fight. So my bottom line on all of this is his only real loss is a majority decision, not even a unanimous decision against Ramirez. That's his only real loss, even though he's 30-2. He's really, not every judge has thought he's lost in every fight. Jose Pedraza, on the other hand, Lomachenko versus Gervonta Davis, and Gervonta Davis, those are the guys that have beat him. He's fought a lot out of Puerto Rico. Pedraza looks likely to come out with the win on this one. Zepeda is a game opponent, but I don't think the plus 135 is enough. Now, those were the numbers we had. We're recording this on Wednesday. Those are the numbers we had on Tuesday. If money comes in on Pedraza and you can get Zepeda at a plus 200 or more, then I would dog watch him. I'm interested in that sort of pick. But my official prediction, Pedraza by decision.
And I agree with you. I think, Zepeda's got a complicated record. You got to get into the little nuances of it if you're going to look at him for real. That may be, enough to rate him a little bit closer in this fight. And it's already a real nice, neat fight in terms of the sport book's already tight. So definitely well worth watching. But I guess at the end of the day, all eyes are going to be on Tyson Fury. The first step, we're expecting, at the beginning of this year, we were faced with a similar situation. All of the big 3 heavyweights, now you'd have to include Ruiz, but it still works, all ready to be active. How do they go through it? And Tyson, beat Schwartz, and it was, Anthony Joshua that stumbled there against Ruiz. Now we've got them doing a rematch. Fury again against Otto Wallin and Deontay Wilder. Still talking about perhaps a showdown again with Luis Ortiz. Will any of them stumble before setting up next year's big fights? That's the big question. That question will be answered at least by Tyson Fury this weekend as he fights Otto Wallin at the T-Mobile Arena and on ESPN+. I'm Miguel Dorati for the CRP, and that's Anthony Scott Pyatt. You can join him here for the Pyatt picks. You got to check out his picks for this week, and we'll be back afterwards to tally it all up.
Good show, Miguel, as always, my friend.